Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm your host, the Board Game Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and showing you how to play Oath of the Brotherhood, The Chosen. Now, you may be asking yourself, why do I have two copies of Oath of the Brotherhood, The Chosen? Very good question. The reason I have two copies is because it is Viewer Appreciation Day. You see, we just passed 500 subscribers recently, and I promised you guys after the last giveaway that I would do another board game giveaway when we passed 500 subscribers. So here it is. I'm going to be giving away a box of Oath of the Brotherhood to one of you. Be sure to watch this video in total to find out how to win a copy of Oath of the Brotherhood. So now Oath of the Brotherhood is a worker placement game with a pirate theme on it that was published by AEG, or Alderac Entertainment Group, and Decilus Games. So let me show you their logos right there. And now, Oath of the Brotherhood was designed by Vangelis Bagiartakis and Tony Camino. And now, Oath of the Brotherhood is listed as being for 2 to 5 players, for ages 14 and up, and as being a 60-minute game. So let's start right there. Now, for the 2 to 5 players, I have to agree this game plays fairly well at all different player counts. I prefer it and like it best at 4 players, but because of how there are some locations that only one person can go on, there's still competition, even with 2 players, to try to get those spaces. Though the board overall does feel more open and feel like there's less competition when you play at 2 versus, say, 3, 4, or 5. But it doesn't require any alternate rules to play at 2, and it does play just fine at 2 players. Now, for the ages 14 and up, that's mostly a pretty estimate for this game. There's a fair amount going on here, and there's a lot to remember. And mostly, you would expect someone to need to be a teenager before they would be able to get a game of this weight. However, if you play with a child regularly who also regularly gets games that are well above their recommended age area, they'll probably be okay with this too. And for the 60 minutes playing time, that's a pretty good estimate of the playing time. Most games I've played of this have averaged around an hour. This has a set number of turns and then it's over. Barring playing with people who suffer from a lot of analysis paralysis, an hour is a pretty good estimate for where this game is at. So let's open this up, and I'm going to show you what comes in the box for Oath of the Brotherhood. Now, the first thing I want to show you here is the rulebook. Now, the rulebook is full color. It is very nicely done, very well organized, lots of diagrams and explanations on how things work. And it has, which is something I always really like when they do it, it has a full diagram of the board and everything being set up, so you can see. You can take a look at it and see how it's supposed to look on the table. Now, this is an 11-page rulebook that is very well put together with no ambiguities, nothing left out. I would say this is an incredibly excellent rulebook. I read through this once and immediately knew everything about what I should do and how I should play this game, and was able to teach 3 other people, and we were able to get playing fairly quickly. So 2 thumbs up on this rulebook. This is a really nice rulebook. Now, the next thing I want to show you here, and I really want to draw lots of attention to because of how beautiful it is the board. Now, this is the game board for Oath of the Brotherhood, and when I'm talking about beautiful, I mean, look at this thing. It's one of those boards where it's a painting that you play on. And I really like it. It's very aesthetically pleasing, and there's something extra about it that I'm going to go into in a minute when I show you the cards. Now, I do want to draw a bit of attention to the insert. Now, while there is a little bit of wasted space under here, that feels like a very minor gripe with this insert, because this insert has a specific place for everything, and it's incredibly well organized. And as you can see, I'm lifting it almost vertically here, and none of the things are falling out because everything has its spot that it goes in. So the next thing I want to show you here is the player boards. Now, the player boards on one side just say Oath of the Brotherhood, the Chosen. And on the other side, they give you your character, and each of the characters has a asymmetrical player power. And then they have areas to mark all of the equipment, allies, and supplies, plus your current toughness rating that you have. So in this case, this is Nevis Jackson, the Black Hawk. These are really nice, very functional, and very aesthetically pleasing player boards. Then we have Marie Lamond, the Gunner. Then we have Rodrigo Cortez, the Conquistador. Then we have Edward Mansfield, the Lord. And finally, we have William McRaves, the Red Ale. So there are all the pirates. Now, just one minor gripe I wanted to share with you that someone I played with had with these is that, so they've got this very plain back, and what they totally missed an opportunity to do was have a gender swap of each pirate on the back. There is only one female pirate, and it would have really been nice if they had done both genders for each pirate on their player boards. Now, the next thing I want to show you is all these cardboard punch-out tokens that are in here. So we have the equipment tokens, which look like little pirate hooks. Then we have the supply tokens, which are barrels. And we have the ally tokens, which are a pirate, a portrait of a pirate. Then we have doubloons. We have 1 doubloon pieces. And we have 5 doubloon pieces. Then we have, these are color markers for the different players. There's a yellow and a green one. These ones are with a little muscle on it are to keep track of your toughness, while the one with the ship is to keep track of score. I think that's a ship. It might just be a sail. Let me show that to you there. Then we have the first player marker, which is a compass. Now, the next bit of components are these wonderful chunky wooden pieces. We have a black wooden pirate ship. This is actually just to keep track of the turns. This goes on the turn or the turn marker on the board, so you know that when you hit the 10th turn, you're done, because it's only 10 turns for this game. Then each player gets one of these really, really cool wooden pirate captain meeples, followed by 2 or 3, depending on the number of players, of these wooden pirate hats. Now, these are your workers, and you place them on the different spaces of the board to be able to do things. So they are very important to the game. Now, the final bit of components is the cards. Now, these are fairly nice, good thickness card stock. They feel durable. Nothing to complain about there. And there's quite a few decks, so you do want fairly good quality cards because there's a lot of cards in this game. So the first deck I'm going to show you here is the Black Market deck. Now, the Black Market deck is down by the docks in the game. It fills up with black market things that you can buy. Some of them will just show a picture of the docks and then a couple symbols of what you get for buying this card, while others will give you magical items. And the magical items give you a special ability that, in addition to your character's special ability, you can use throughout the game. These are really nice cards, very well done, no problems with them at all. Now, the next bit of cards, and in my opinion, these are the most interesting ones, and these are the ones I referred to earlier that I said I would talk about more when I got to the cards. These are the exploration cards. Now, the exploration cards allow you to add new areas to the board, but unlike a lot of other worker placements where you literally just have an area on the board that you put them in a row or you put them next to the board, with these, they have a bit of illustration on them that is the exact same size and is the same illustration that is somewhere on the board. You add this over its illustration on the board, so it totally fits in with the illustration and it gives you a new area, in this case, and all of them just have one meeple that you can place on them, so they are a bit limited, and give you a cool special ability you can do for that area. So, for instance, here is the arena, and here is the hideout. These are really nice. This is the very interesting way of being able to add to the illustration on the board and add new spaces directly onto the map is a really cool mechanic, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. Everybody I've played with is really Really liked that. Now, the next thing we have here is the Tavern deck. Now, the Tavern is where you go to pick up other pirates. Now, each pirate you could get at the Tavern gives you a new special ability based on, usually very thematically, based on what their job is or what they're like. And these are great. These become a very major part of the game. Their abilities can be very make or break in regard to your strategy and how you're going to play for the rest of the game after you get these characters. Their abilities can be powerful enough that you really, really want to play to at least some of the abilities that you have managed to obtain. But yeah, I quite like these. I think the artwork is very nice on them, and the abilities, none of them are too overpowered, but they are all very useful. Now, the next deck is the Action deck. Now, the Action deck has a Jolly Roger on the back, and it says Action. And now these are fairly basic in their aesthetics. There's no artwork on them. They just tell you what they do. They're just very functional. And the way these work is you can get them. You have a hand of them with no maximum hand size, no hand limit, and at any time during the game when it says the card can be played, you play it and do what it says for a cool extra ability or maybe some extra resources or something of that sort. And the final deck that we have here is the Mission deck. Now, the Mission deck is what it's all about, and it's how you get the victory points. Now, the Mission deck is organized in a very functional manner, very similar to the action cards. It just shows you in the middle what you need to trade in to achieve this mission, and then it tells you what you get for it. So in the case of this mission card here, you need to trade in 3 allies, 4 doubloons, and then you will get, you see there on the top corner there, 5 victory points. So some of them give you items in addition to victory points. For instance, this one here requires 4 equipment, 2 supply, and then it gives you 5 victory points and 2 doubloons back. The missions are very well done, and these are really what the game is all about. So it's very good that they are, in fact, very well done. So that is a look at everything that comes in the box for Oath of the Brotherhood. Now let's head to the table. I'm going to show you how the game plays. I'm going to run you through a turn or two, and then we're going to come back. I'm going to talk about how the game feels. I'm going to review it. I'm going to rate it, and then we're going to get a second opinion from Lynn. Okay, so here you can see a setup for 3 players for Oath of the Brotherhood. Now, there are 2 differences between a 2 to 3 player game of Oath of the Brotherhood versus a 4 to 5 player game. The first difference is that in a 2 to 3 player game, you get a pirate meeple and 3 mate tokens, whereas in a 4 to 5 player game, you would only get 2 mate tokens. The other difference is that in a 4 to 5 player game on the turn tracker, you go all the way up to 10 turns. You would play 10 full turns, whereas in a 2 to 3 player game, you will only play 7 turns. So you only go up to the 7 marker in a 3 player game. Now, to set up, the first thing you do is you shuffle up all of the decks. You have here the Action deck, which is placed off the board next to the board in the action area. Over here we have the Exploration deck, which is placed off the board, and you have the Mission deck, which is shuffled up, and 1 card is dealt to every player. So, and then 3 cards are dealt up in the mission area that you can purchase by going to the Brotherhood space on that side of the board. In addition, the Black Market deck is shuffled up, and 3 cards are dealt up to the Black Market area where it is marked how much they cost. And the Tavern deck is shuffled up over here, and the top person is flipped face up on top of the Tavern stack, and that is Open Eye Roy, who has an ability specifically when he goes to the blacksmith. If you have Open Eye Roy in your crew, once per turn you can turn him sideways to trade a supply for a equipment and an ally. Now, we've decided randomly that the start player token will be going to Nevis Jackson, which is my character here, and we each chose our characters. Nevis Jackson's ability is that he gets to start with 5 toughness instead of the normal 3. And then also every time he completes a mission, he gets an additional victory point. The second player on this side over here is playing with Marie Lamond, the gunner, who starts with a free ally, and she has chosen the first mate for her ally. In addition, when completing any missions that require you to spend allies, she gets to spend 1 less ally. And Lynn, what do you have over there?
I have Edward Mansfield, the Lord. He starts the game with 2 extra doubloons, and when he completes a mission, I can ignore 2 doubloon requirement.
Very, very good. So now let's get going. Now the first thing that you would normally do in a turn would be the replenishment phase, where you would discard most of the cards and that are out on the board, and you would get new cards in the tavern and some new cards for the black market and new mission cards, etc. But we don't do that on the first round. We jump right into the action phase, which is the next thing where you actually get to play your meeples around. So starting with me, I'm going to play my pirate meeple on the tavern, which costs me 1 gold. I'm going to give it to Lynn. Lynn is being the banker, and I'm going to get Open Eye Roy. And that is it for my turn. So now we move on to the second player, Marie Lamond over here, who, let me just see what she needs. She is going to play, in the black market area here and spend 2 gold to get the second black market card, which costs 2 gold and gives her 2 barrels. So Lynn will give me the 2 barrels. That will get discarded, and she's going to put those on gunpowder and also put them on water. Gunpowder and water. So now it is Lynn's turn.
I'm going to go to the docks and get an ally.
Fair enough. I'm going to... Let's see here. I'm going to go to the bazaar and get a supply myself, which I'm going to put on my... I'm going to put it on my gunpowder. And then Marie over here is going to go to the bridge and get 2 gold coins.
I'm going to go to the beach and get an action card. And what?
Very good, very good.
I'm going to use it right away.
Oh, what is it?
All other players discard 1 supply of their choice.
Okay, so I have to discard my gunpowder, and Marie over here will discard her water. At which point I'm going to go back to the bazaar and get another supply. Marie decides to use her one gunpowder that she had left to roll it into the bazaar and blow me off of it, which means both of my meeples get just shoved off and I lose 2 toughness, and that does not count as an action. She can still play, so she's going to play her pirate meeple there and get a supply herself and put it back on the gunpowder.
I am going to go to the docks and get a second ally.
Fair enough. I am going to go to the blacksmith, which gets me a equipment. Yes, thank you. And I'm going to put that on the sword so I won't get hurt if I go. The sword allows me to ignore the damage that would be done if I'm this second person to go to an area where someone else already is. And because I have Open Eye Roy, he has an ability that I can use once per turn when I go to the blacksmith. I'm going to turn him sideways to use that ability. And I can trade 1 supply to the bank for a equipment and an ally. And I'm going to put the equipment on the pistol and the ally on the first mate there. So now it is Marie's turn, and Marie is going to go to the bazaar again, and she's going to get another supply, which she's going to put on the water.
I'm going to go to the watchtower and get the first player token.
Oh, there we go.
And also an exploration card.
So now Lynn gets to add this exploration card to the board.
The witch.
So now the witch hut is over there, so it just fits right over the artwork, and now that's a new space on the board where if you play a meeple there, you can spend 1 gold to get 3 toughness. Now, Lynn, are you done with your turn?
Yes.
Okay, so in which case, we're all done. So now we're going to move on to the next turn. So the first thing we do is we move up the round marker. Then we have to discard all of the missions there. We have to discard if there is a card left in only the one place on the black market, everyone else stays and slides down. And if there was a person left in the tavern, we would discard them when we flip a new one up, and we deal out 3 new missions. We also, of course, take back all of our own meeples. So since I am yellow, I get all my yellow meeples back, and Lynn and also Marie over here get all of their meeples back as well. Now, to start off the new round, Lynn is now the start player, so she gets to go first and probably is going to play someone here to get that all-important person at the tavern, which is Maggie the Mermaid. She gives you a extra card when you go to the beach. You actually get to draw 2 cards, which is pretty awesome. So that's the gist of how you play a game of Oath of the Brotherhood, and you do this for the number of turns based on the number of players you're playing, and then at the end you will count up points. Now, I just want to go over a couple of things to show you what would happen in certain circumstances. So if, for instance, Marie already had one of her meeples on the bazaar and Lynn wanted to play a meeple to the bazaar, Lynn would lose a toughness because she would have to fight Marie here, and the normal thing is she would lose a toughness. Now, however, I have take your meeple back. I have a pistol, so if I had a meeple on the bazaar and Lynn played a meeple there, I would get the option of, instead of making her lose a toughness, of stealing a doubloon from her. And that would be how that would work. Now, on the other hand, if Lynn already had a meeple on the bazaar, I have a sword, which says I get to ignore that. So when I play a meeple there, nothing would happen to me. So that's a little example of how those would all work. Now, I just want to show you something real quick, because I was very close to completing my mission. Lynn, pass me one more ally, please. Okay, so now if on my turn I had that one more ally, which I could have easily gotten during this round, and I played someone on the Brotherhood area, I could complete a mission. The first thing you can do when playing on the Brotherhood is complete a mission. So my mission is drinking water, and it requires me to spend 2 of my equipment to the bank. So I'm going to give those 2 to Lynn. 2 allies to the bank, so I will give my 2 allies to Lynn, and 2 gold doubloons, so I'll give my 2 gold doubloons to Lynn. And then this mission gives me 4 victory points and a water. So I would move, Lynn is moving me there, up 4 victory points, and she would give me a supply that I would have to put on water. I keep this card in front of me to remind me that I have completed it, because sometimes there are other missions you can complete, which might say get an additional point for every other mission of certain kinds, or just every other mission that you complete. And then after completing that, I get to take one other of these missions and put them into my hand. So I would take this one here and put it into my hand to continue on. And that's basically everything you need to know to play a game of Oath of the Brotherhood. You play till the end, and then you count up your you check who has the most points, and you get some bonus points for a few extra things. You get 1 bonus point for being the player who has completed the most missions. Then you get 1 extra bonus point for being the player with the most doubloons at the end of the game. You get 1 bonus point for being the player who has the most tokens on their board at the end of the game. You get 1 bonus point for being the player with the most follower cards at the end of the game, and you get 1 bonus point for being the player with the most toughness at the end of the game. However, if there is a tie for any of these things, no one gets the points for them, and then whoever has the highest point total wins, and there is a list of tiebreakers, which are generally most of those things that also give you extra points, or the tiebreakers at the end of the game. So let's head back to the table. I'm going to talk about how this game feels. I'm going to review it and rate it, and then we're going to get a second opinion from Lynn. Okay, welcome back. So that was how you play a game of Oath of the Brotherhood, The Chosen. So I want to draw a little attention to how silly it is that they decided to put a subtitle in a game that already had a name so long as Oath of the Brotherhood. But it's fine. I don't even understand why it's called The Chosen, but there you go. It's a very long title. But now, so this is a worker placement game. as you saw. But unlike a lot of other worker placement games, this has some take that elements to it, which is very interesting. Most worker placement games are very much pure Euros. There's no aggression, no fighting, no take that. But this has like a healthy injection of take that. It's not a huge amount. It doesn't turn into a full-on slugfest, but you have options to be able to hit your opponent. There's things you can do when they if your opponent tries to go on a space that you're already on, where you can reduce their toughness. You never play or eliminate them, but if they run out of toughness, then they're not allowed to play on spots where other players already have people there. You can also buy an upgrade to then be able to, instead of reducing their toughness, to steal a doubloon from them. And then, of course, you can buy an upgrade so that your opponent can't do either of those things when you're the second person to enter an area. And if two of your opponents have already blocked up an area, you can buy gunpowder and roll it in there and knock them off of it. And then each of them gets -1 toughness for being knocked off. And you now have a fully open area that you can place one of your meeples on. So it adds a very interesting element to the whole worker placement theme, because I do quite like worker placement games, but sometimes they can almost feel like you're playing a solitaire game with someone else, and the only interaction you have is if they block you from going somewhere, and then you're like, damn, I really wish there was a way I could open that up and go there. And this gives you a way to do that. It gives you a way to directly attack your opponents and knock them off of a spot to be able to go there. But while it is an option, it's not a major part of the game. It happens once in a while, and when it happens, it's funny, and nobody really usually feels upset by being knocked off. It's kind of a funny thing. Oh, you knocked me off, I guess I lose a toughness, no big deal. It's not like they kill the meeple. You get the meeple back at the end. You don't lose a number of workers. It's fun, it's interesting, but it's not really vicious. The overall feeling of it is, other than the take that elements, it does feel like a pretty standard worker placement game, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It has learned a lot from previous worker placement games and fixed some of the minor issues that existed in some of the older worker placement games. And this is a very good example of the genre of worker placement games. The way to add cards to the board is very fluid and happens very easily. The number of spaces available in each area feels right. The fact that the cards, you can only get one worker on there, feels right for the cards. And the fact that most of the board spaces have 2 on there, except for a couple which only have 1, also feels very right and works very well, regardless of number of players that you play. And just generally speaking, this is a really fun game. I really enjoy Oath of the Brotherhood. I've played it half a dozen times now, and every time I play it, I really like it. I really have a good time, whether I win or lose. And there's lots of different strategies you can go about towards trying to win. There's different things you can do. It's generally a good idea to try to play towards your own player power. That's a very good idea towards winning, but you don't even really have to do that. You can even do that as a secondary thing and play towards something else to be a little more unexpected and still probably have a fairly good chance of winning. Though the biggest thing is you have to make sure to complete those objectives, because the objectives are what it's all about. That's how you get your victory points. There's a few extra victory points, as I talked about earlier, a few extra ways to get 1 victory point here or there, but all the big victory points are all about the objective cards. You got to complete as many of them as you can, and higher scoring ones also if you can. So I really like this game. I like this game a lot, and that's why I give Oath of the Brotherhood 8 out of 10 stars, because I really enjoy it. I liked it the first time I played it, and I liked it even more the second and third times I played it. This is just a really good game. It's earned a spot in my collection that it's probably going to remain in for many years to come. But let's get a second opinion. Lynn, how many stars out of 10 would you give to Oath of the Brotherhood?
8.
Wow, so Lynn is right there with me. This is a 2 thumbs way up review from us here at the Board Game Captain, because we both gave it 8 out of 10 stars. That is a total of 16 stars between the two of us. So there you have it. So now, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns either on this video or on the game Oath of the Brotherhood? Feel free to put them in the comments section down below. And I know you've been waiting for this. How do you win your copy of Oath of the Brotherhood? Well, here's what you have to do. First off, be subscribed to the Board Game Captain. Second off, like this video. And third off, comment down below telling me, if you were a pirate, what would your pirate name be? As long as you do those three things, at 1 week from the release of this video, I will be drawing a winner at noon, 12 o'clock noon Central Standard Time in the United States. I'll be drawing a winner from those who did all of that for this copy of Oath of the Brotherhood, The Chosen. And then I will send you if you want, I will send you a private message so that you can send me your shipping address, and I will send you a copy. So there you have it. That is everything you need to know about the contest and about the game. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, share this video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube, and hit that little bell button on my channel to make sure you get notifications whenever I upload a new video. And until next time, game on.